Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Saving Marvel by Manda, Mellett, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1 Marvel. Fuck my life. Inching forward in the line, I fidget, shifting my weight from right to left, idly thumbing through the keys in my pocket, wondering why the hell in this age of plastic and smartphones anyone bothers with cash. For the life of me, I can see no good reason unless you're a biker and prefer to leave no paper trail behind. Looking around at the other customers, I appear to be the only member of the motorcycling fraternity, so I've fuck all idea what their excuses are. I'm not even here on my own behalf. I'm here to get the float for Angels, the strip club that's owned by the Satan's Devil's MC. Normally, it would be a prospect's job to collect the cash so the bar can make change, but today, Wizard has got all three of them on other duties, so it's fallen to me. After all these years, I still snap to attention when my prez asks me to do him a favor, though I might have put up more resistance had I realized how slow and boring it would be. I'd expected it would take no more than a couple of minutes. Fuck my life. Jostled from behind, I turned sharply to see an elderly woman so intent on searching for something in her bag, she'd unwittingly shoved up against me. I give her my best frown. "Oh, I'm sorry," she offers, smartly taking a step back only to then collide with the man to her rear, necessitating another apology. Turning to face the front again, I roll my eyes. As I do, I note the little old lady at the front of the line finally completes her transaction and hurries away with a look of relief. I sigh. One down, another 10 to go, and then it will be my turn. Why the fuck don't they have more tellers working? I've got things to do, places to be. My fingers tap against my cut impatiently. For want of something better to do, I turn my head again, noticing the growing line that's formed since I've come in. I catch the eye of a man who's just entered, who, on seeing the number of people ahead of him, looks about as disgruntled as I feel. Our eyes catch and we share a moment. Then something about the man behind him draws my attention, and my senses go on high alert. I'm a biker in a one-percenter club. Though we don't often step over the line into illegality, I sure can recognize a criminal when I see one, or at least recognize someone equally as dodgy as me. My eyes narrow as I note he's shielding his face behind a bandana and lowers his chin as if he doesn't want even his eyes to be seen. My hackles might rise, but as I'm here on a legitimate purpose, there's nothing to say he's not doing something similar. Or maybe he's here to launder some money, in which case it's none of my business. I evaluate the threat, dismiss it, then automatically take another step forward when the next customer is seen. The cashier seems one of those pleasant types that likes to make conversation. I don't hear much, though a comment about the damn security cameras not working again catches my attention. Doesn't bother me none, except to muse that the less pictures there are of me around, the happier I am. The customer, who seems to be a friend of hers, jokingly replies that it's a perfect time for a robbery, making me roll my eyes. Yeah, if only it was that easy. She goes, and another customer steps forward to fill the gap. While I move from foot to foot with impatience, I tell myself that at least I'm getting closer. After a middle-aged man in a suit that's definitely off the rack completes his business relatively swiftly, another man steps up. Now him I can't see much of, as his hoodie is pulled up over his head. Is that allowed? But hell, the cashiers must know what they're doing. Disinterested in anything other than how quickly he'll conduct whatever he's here for, I strain my ears to hear his request, hoping it's something simple and he'll be served fast. My attitude changes when abruptly he moves his hand under his hoodie and it reappears with a gun. For a moment, I'm frozen in shock. "Everyone down! Hands on your heads!" That loud shout comes from behind me. I don't have to look to know it's from the man I'd already identified as being someone I perhaps should have been keeping my eye on and not so quick to dismiss. Oh shit. My day just got worse, and I'm in the middle of a fucking bank heist, and one which certainly won't benefit me. "Get down, now, on the floor!" Some customers have already dropped to the ground, others are looking around in disbelief. When I spy the gun being waved erratically, that's enough for me. I'm no fucking hero. I fall to my knees. A few customers are bunching together as if there's safety in a group. Women are screaming. One, with a stroller, clasps her hands together and begs them to just let her and her kid go free. Bank robberies always seem organized on television shows, but this is utter bedlam. The robbers yell, swear, and wave their weapons semis, I notice. In the confusion, I catch movement out of the side of my eye. The door just to the right of me, bearing a large sign stating loans, is opening. Seeming with complete disregard to his own safety, a bank employee rushes out. "What's going on?" the newcomer shouts, though he'd have to be blind to misread the situation. "On your fucking knees!" Robber 2 at the back of the line yells, while Robber 1 continues his discussion with the cashier. I notice no one's come in behind the second man, so guess he must have bolted the door to the outside. No one has to get hurt. Give us what we want and we'll leave. Jesus, I'm trapped, and have just become a hostage. I try to assess whether these men are seasoned professionals or desperate down on their lucks with nothing left to lose, or perhaps in a drug-induced high, thinking it's easy to liberate money from a bank. But knowing probably wouldn't make any difference as to the danger I found myself in. Whatever their motive or driving force, the end will be much the same, and I suspect it will be one I don't like. When bullets fly, they don't much care what they hit. If any of my brothers were here with me, I wouldn't do what I decide to do next. But I'm surrounded by civilians, all unknown to me, and so my sense of self-preservation takes precedence. I've clocked the door from where the loans manager, or whoever he is, has emerged, has been left ajar. Taking advantage of the confusion, I leopard crawl slowly in that direction. I'm almost there when a shot is fired, making me automatically cover my head. "He shot the cashier!" Someone screams, the words repeated, then lost in the cacophony of panic. Oh, fuck, no. There's no way now for this to end cleanly. I start moving again, making it through the doorway, apparently unseen. People are yelling and shouting, and the gunmen are trying to make themselves heard. Crossing the threshold, I take the risk of closing the door behind me. Then I lean against it, my ear to the wood, listening carefully. No one shouts an alarm or yells that someone's missing. I appear to have got away free. Still, not liking the odds of my escape being a success, there's no window or other exit from this room. I spy the desk and smartly move toward it. It won't offer much cover, but a cursory look might make someone believe the room is empty. But when I go behind to crouch down under its shelter, I notice someone's gotten there before me. For a second, I'm not sure who's the most shocked, me or the female who's shaking like a leaf and opening her mouth to scream. Quick as a flash, my hand is over her lips. I lean down and whisper fast. "I'm not one of them, okay? I'm just a fucking customer keeping my head down, same as you." She gulps, her eyes fixed on my cut. I resist the urge to roll my eyes as I know how this goes. I've been a Satan's devil for the best part of 30 years. 25 of those riding with the Tucson Club. The colors I wear have the effect of making civilians shit their pants, even though they've nothing to fear from us, unless they do us harm first. Knowing my patches mean there's need for more reassurance, I give her the reason for my presence, hoping to prove my legitimacy. I'm here to pick up the float for one of our clubs. I'm not one of the assholes trying to rob the bank. I pause and examine her face. She doesn't exactly relax, but the small dip of her head suggests she's inclined to believe me. I prepare to take the risk, but make sure I warn her first. Now, I'm going to remove my hand, okay? If you scream, they'll come in, and if they do, we're both probably dead. Her eyes widen in horror, but also in acknowledgement. This time, when she gives a more defined nod, I believe I've got my message across. I remove my hand, and then when she speaks, slam it down again. "Quietly," I snap, my eyes homing in on her for a second before I raise my fingers again. Now she says so softly I can barely hear, "What's going on out there?" "I'll be fucked if I know." My voice is just a murmur. Two punks, as far as I can tell, both armed. They've already fucked it up. They shot the cashier. As she gasps, there's another shot and a barrage of screams. It makes her squeak and automatically clutch at me as if I could possibly keep her safe. There's no reason to explain my instinctive reaction to hold her close. Maybe it's the realization that the thieves won't be getting away with this, and very possibly I'll end up being collateral damage, along with the woman who's found her way into my arms. If these men are professionals, I'll eat my hat. If there was ever a plan, they can't be sticking to it. I certainly hadn't envisioned this, but when I rolled out of my bed this morning as the day or manner of my death. But I don't have long to ponder whether holding her is the right thing to do. As if scalded, she pulls back as fast as she clung to me in the first place. Twin spots of red appear on her face. I get it, lady, but it's okay. I haven't got fleas. Sliding my phone out of my cut, I wonder what call to make. I suspect even if the cashier hadn't gotten to a panic button, the shots will have been reported and the alarm already raised. Not to mention the bank stores being locked in the middle of the day should raise a few red flags. I could call the club, but rescuing me and the other customers is probably best done by a SWAT team. Shaking my head, I do something I wouldn't normally do. I call 911 and ask to be connected to the cops. My name's... For a second, I hesitate, not wanting to muddy the waters by giving my road name and having to summon up the one given to me at birth from the depths of my brain. Cash Johnson, I'm at the Sunrise Bank on 5th. There's a robbery in progress. Could you speak up, please? I can't hear you very well. The tapping on their end sounds overly loud. I press the phone close to my ear to suppress it. No, I can't fucking speak up, I growl. We're in a side room hiding under the desk. The assholes don't know we're here. Or not yet. Please hold the line a moment. I do, only hearing air for almost the 60 seconds promised. Then another voice comes on. This one is more authoritative. Mr. Johnson, we're already aware there's an incident. Could you tell me what's going on? There are 2 robbers. I think again, remembering the man behind the woman who'd knocked into me. Had he looked shifty, or am I now seeing things? Maybe 3? It doesn't hurt to warn him. They've got Glocks from what I could see. I paused, then add, the cashier was shot. I've no idea how bad she was hit, and since I've been hidden, there's been one more shot. How many customers are there in the bank? He asks sharply. I do the quick math in my head. 12 in the bank lobby, perhaps. Then there's me and this lady I'm hiding out with. The lady with you, is she hurt? I glance down and see her, having overheard, shaking her head. I make my own assessment. Scared out of her wits, what do you fucking expect? There's a space where I think he's updating someone. Next, he asks, do you by chance ride with the Satan's Devil's MC, Mr. Johnson? What the fuck? Why are you asking? There's a motorcycle parked outside, registered to 1 Cash Johnson. We've got you listed as a member of that gang. I snarl. We're not a fucking gang. We ride motorcycles. You're not pinning this on the club. The woman grabs at me and places her fingers to her lips, as if sensing my rage and worrying I'm going to raise my voice. Giving her a chin lift, I try to get a better rein on my temper. Yeah, I'd ride with the MC, but I'm here as an innocent bystander. I was here to pick up the float for the Angels. Okay, Mr. Johnson. There's no point him calling me a name I barely recognize now. Marvel, I correct him. Call me Marvel. Marvel, he breathes. The way he says it makes me think he's having to take time to adjust from thinking of me as a criminal to me as a victim instead. I gather from his tone he's not entirely made up his mind as yet when he inquires, and who's the lady with you? I've no fucking idea. I'll have to ask. I cover the phone and direct my question downward. He wants to know your name. Why? To write it on my tombstone? She whispers dryly. I huff a quiet laugh. No one is dying today, I tell her confidently, while wondering what the chances are of us staying alive. Seems to me the robbers have got nothing to lose. Murdering more people won't make much difference to whatever their rap sheet will say after today's events. The roll of her eyes shows me she's caught me out in my lie, but then she bites her lip and confides almost reluctantly. I'm Virginia Case. Turning back to the phone, I repeat the name. Right. I'm Officer Wilkins. I'll be your liaison. It's useful having eyes inside the bank. For some reason, the security cameras aren't working. Can't see much from in here, I tell him sharply, and I'm not going to expose myself to do your job. If he wants a spy, that's not going to be me. This is as far as I'll go in helping the fucking law. I remember then what the cashier had said about the cameras being down. She hadn't seemed particularly worried, as though it wasn't an unusual occurrence. Now it occurs to me it was far more deliberate and the robbers more organized than perhaps I'd given them credit for. I hear a sigh. I understand, but whatever you can hear could be useful. Put your phone on silent. If anything happens, call me on the direct number. I'll text you. You going to pull your fingers out of your asses and get us out? I hate relying on anyone, least of all anyone in authority. The only people I trust are the brothers I ride with. Yes, sir. He says the sir as if it's going to choke him. We're already putting together a SWAT team. Just hold tight and we'll have you out of there as soon as we can. He's full of shit, and from his tone, he knows it. I end the call, but keep the phone in my hand. Taking a deep breath, I realize I'm not confident in living out this day. I suppose I've had over 5 decades, and that's more than a lot of people who ride with an MC get. 30 years back, I took the patch, knowing I'd forfeit my life to save my club or my brothers. It would suck if I died because someone was greedy. One thing's for sure, if it comes to it, I'll make sure to take at least one of the assholes with me. Virginia, huh? I gaze at my companion. You got a phone? It will need to be put on silent, too. You want to call anyone? She shrugs. There's no one to call. She slides her phone out of her pocket and clicks on the right keys to turn it off completely. I glance at her curiously. She seems to be in the same age range as me. That she's got no one to call who could comfort her seems odd. Or maybe it's that she doesn't want to cause anyone distress. Whatever, it's none of my business. Pressing my back against the drawers of the desk, I pull up my knees and use them as a prop for my chin. Guess we've got to settle in for a wait. My ass is already complaining, reminding me I'm not as young as I was. Doesn't mean I want to die. No, siree. Prior to joining the MC, my life was nothing to write home about. That changed when I joined the Satan's Devils and became even better once I transferred to Tucson and put my past further behind me. That definitely counts as one of the better decisions I'd ever made. Leaning my head back, I let my mind drift, much like a drowning man sees his life flashing in front of his eyes. If it wasn't for the Satan's Devils, I'd have been dead long ago. No one would have mourned me. If I died today, there'd be a standing room only at my grave. The whole fucking club would turn out. Maybe other chapters as well. What's more, some of those fuckers would even miss me. The thought brings a smile to my face. I might not have blood family or a special woman tied to me, but I've brothers aplenty who'd mourn my demise. It makes me realize that while this is one situation where my brothers can't help, my Prez might want to know what's happening to me, or at least when I don't return to Angels that I haven't run off with the float. My lips quirk as I know that's one thing he'd rightly never suspect of me. Raising my phone, I hold it to my lips for a moment, wondering what to say, then realize I might be better off keeping as quiet as I can. I've never been one much for texting. Laboriously, I stab at the letters. Marvel. Bank holdup. I'm here. Before I can put my phone away, it vibrates silently. Wizard. You safe? Marvel. Yeah, for now. Thinking for a moment, I add. Marvel. Cops know I'm here. I called it in. They already clocked the bike outside. Wizard. They suspect club involvement? Marvel. Tried to shut that shit down. If it was us, we wouldn't have been caught. Wizard uses a laughing emoji, those symbols being something else I'm not a fan of, never certain which one to use. Wizard. We'll work from the outside, see what we can do. Marvel. Cops have SWAT on the way. Wizard. Keep your head down. Hang in there. Leaning my head back, I take a deep breath, holding it in for a moment. There's a lump in my chest. Hopefully, breathing exercises will clear it. I don't do fucking emotions, but I feel lighter now I've spoken to the Prez and know there's someone on the outside rooting for me. The thought makes me consider my companion. As before, I put her into the mature bracket. Unlike many, she's giving gracefully to the advance of gray hair, and I find the silvery blonde color quite attractive. Her skin is pale, but that's understandable. She must be fucking scared. Men like me, when we join an MC, we know the only way out will be in a box. We live hard, ride hard, take life right to the edge. The knowledge that any day might be the last of our life ever present in our minds. So we seize every opportunity and run with it. Doesn't mean we're reckless, which is why I'm hiding away. This is not my battle, not my brother's at risk, so I'll sit back and let the cops sort it. And if at the end of the day I die, I'll face Satan with my shoulders pulled back, accepting I've had a good run. Virginia, though? While she said she had no one to phone, I decide my suspicions were probably right. She seems the kind of woman who wouldn't want to worry anyone. She's probably got kids, grandkids too, and she has no thought other than staying around to see them grow. She'll have reasons to live, while most of my family would ask why I'm not dead yet. She must be fucking terrified. I realize things could be worse. I could be sitting here with a hysterical female, but instead, She appears to be holding it together, at least for now. Thank fuck.